Welcome to episode 178 of the 10 Million 10 Years podcast. I'm Dave, your host, and I've got Matt Cossey with me in today's episode. Before we get into it, I want to say a big thank you to our two sponsors, Tom Hardy from the Hancock Group and Casbolt's authorised Honda and Ducati dealership located at 6 Gaston Street, Christchurch. Appreciate the sponsorship of both of those businesses. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Matt Cossey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Yeah. We've talked about this for a while. We've known each other for a couple of years, and it's been awesome to see you continue to grow. I really like what you've done in terms of valuing the brand, in terms of building a brand versus just having a property maintenance business. You've put so much effort into that, right?
Yeah.
And so part of my curiosity around that is how do you balance that? How do you juggle that day to day with the building of the brand? Any particular methodology, or
I don't think it's necessarily it's probably not thought out so much as just I personally believe that a good brand is probably a part of your life a lot, so you actually live and breathe the brand. So for me, with the maintenance, I started the maintenance because I care about people. I care about people's properties, and that was a big part of what I know how to do to be able to give back to people. And so the maintenance side of things was something that I really care about. So making maintenance easy, that brand wording that we have is a really huge part, because I don't want this to be a difficult process for people. I don't want people to think that it's too hard to keep the most valuable asset up to scratch.
Nice, I like it. I guess it leads nicely into that new service add-on that you've just put out there to the world. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, this is very cool, actually. Really excited. So we just wanted to bring MRPS back to its roots, into what we really started the business for, me and Rose, which was being able to give people a service that's affordable, professional, and done to code, done right. So we've brought out this new handyman service, and that's as simple as it is. It's just a handyman service where we send our guys out. They're still the same guys, but it's only $69 inclusive of GST, and we've got a list of services that we'll provide, and it's essentially a full hour of just full-blown handyman stuff. So it's really targeted towards people it's targeted to anyone. Anyone can have it. But when I think about it and when I envisioned it, it was to your mums and dads that don't have enough time. It was to your grandmas and grandpas that don't have the ability anymore, or anyone in your family that's just not quite able to keep on top of that stuff as they were or ever have been able to. Maybe they just need a kickstart to be able to stay on top of it as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, because I guess just for the listeners, like the core of the business, it's typically, until now it's been aimed at, I guess, slightly more complicated projects, more skilled labour, working with property managers, bit of commercial, and it's been a bit beyond that real basic level, right?
Yeah. I think we ended up diving into an area of construction which was, if you've got a problem, we'll fix it, and we'll figure that out. And with that, we've ended up having to hire really talented tradesmen, and guys that really know what they're doing. They've had so much experience, but you also have to pay for that as well. And it's not necessarily just the customer, but myself as well. They have to pay them really good rates in order to be able to get that. So we have slowly, I guess, started creeping more into if you've got a really tricky problem that you can't solve, then we'll solve it for you. And that's where a lot of people have been able to find our value. So especially our property managers in commercial and residential, and just, I guess, people in general that don't know where to go. So like a shower leak is a really classic example of it. Of where is the leak coming from, why is it happening, is it able to be repaired or does it have to be replaced? All of these questions of a traditional tradesman that'll come always will say it has to be replaced, whereas we will go through the steps to go, does it need to be replaced or can we repair it?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, because I guess as the homeowner or the property manager, you just want it fixed.
You want it fixed.
You don't actually care about the reasons or who do you go to, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I had a issue, it was around a hot water cylinder, and I'm like, well, do I go to an electrician or do I go to a plumber? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want one stop.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's one of the advantages, right, of working with someone like you.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I've really tried to work hard on is we don't actually personally have the plumbers and electricians within our team as an employed on staff, but we do have them as subcontractors. And I've worked really hard, and our team have worked really hard to understand exactly who does what and when they do what in order to be able to give our customers the best information possible. So not that I know everything about electrical or everything about plumbing, but I can go to someone's property that wants 12 things done on a list, and 3 of those things may be plumbing and 2 of those things may be electrical, and I can give them a pretty good understanding as to what needs to be done with those things. And then I take all the information there and I bring it back to our subcontractors, and I say, hey, look, this is what I've advised the client. Does that sound about right? And then we move from there as well. So it's always based off, really good information at the end as well. But we work really hard to make sure that we can give our clients a confident and realistic answer right at the beginning.
Nice. And you're fresh off the back of a home show.
Yeah. It's been a real hectic week, actually. 3 days of the home show, just hunkering in there. It was myself, Jordan and Lawrence, and Matt, actually, who was on here with you a while.
Oh, Matt Cossey?
Yeah, the other one, Callahan.
Matt Callahan.
I was there too.
You are Matt Cossey.
So I had him in there on the Friday, which was really cool.
Yeah,
right. Sort of just had the other 2 boys in amongst it as well. And man, that was awesome, eh?
Yeah.
That was really cool to be able to just get in front of our customers, really, and just go, hey, look, this is what you should expect from anyone that's doing your maintenance. This is the type of service, this is the kind of fees that you should be expecting. I'm not of the understanding that everyone should be the cheapest thing in the market. People should be valued, but they also should be held accountable to their work as well. So it was really cool conversations. We unfortunately didn't have enough flyers for the show. I ended up getting this. So Saturday afternoon we go, we're going to run out of flyers. And so I call up Warehouse Stationery, just been like, can you print another bundle of flyers for us by tomorrow morning and get them all cut up and everything? And they're like, yeah, we can do it. So shout out to Warehouse Stationery, because you guys are awesome.
Wow.
And they did it, and I picked it up that morning, the Sunday morning, brought it in, and within 45 minutes, those were all gone as well.
Wow, really?
So yeah, I just didn't account for how much. The Sunday was an absolute ripper of a day. We had so many people come through, so many huge conversations with people that were just wanting their gutters cleaned and people that wanted to have their whole houses ripped apart and started again. And these are the kinds of conversations that we're able to have with people, and we can confidently say, yes, we can fix your doorknob, but we can also just start from scratch if you want to as well. So that was a really special time. We got to have some really cool conversations. And yeah, it's always a bit of fun. My feet are a bit sore. Yeah.
How did it compare to the previous home show?
It was way busier. I think people, I guess like diving into the business side of it, people are having conversations a lot freer than what they were 3 months ago, which is a really promising thing. I mean, when we saw the OCR drop, we've seen rates drop from that. We've possibly seen that again in November. So I think there's a lot of people that are excited and dreaming about their projects that they haven't been able to do or have been too worried about doing. But now that they are seeing change, that's starting to open people's minds again to go, let's get that stuff done. And that's where us in the maintenance space, you almost want to call on first, because what was neglected over the last 6 to 12 months that you may not have touched, that you should have been looking after, or would have been looking after if the cash flow was freed up.
Do you think the seasons have something to do with it as well?
Yeah, seasons have something to do with it too. Winter, people just hibernate. People don't necessarily want to do things, stuff's in a too hard basket. Nobody wants to dream about an outdoor space when it's all mud anyway. Not that everyone's house is mud, but it seems a bit muddy sometimes in Christchurch. So yeah, I think people in general just don't necessarily want to spend money on that. Or if they do have the money, they want to go overseas with it.
Yeah, right. In terms of, Matt, goal setting, time management, energy management, how you go about growing your business, have you found one or two things that stick out to you that have worked really well in terms of either, discipline or calendar management? I don't know. You can take this question however you want to take it. But I'm just curious. I know you do a bit of networking, and that's something to maybe talk about at some point, but...
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because 6 months ago it was a completely different schedule that I had to what I do now. And I think with anyone in business, when things get hard, excuse me, when things get hard, you kind of just have to hunker down and just kind of get into a bit of a day-to-day routine rather than what you may have been before, which is a lot more dreaming, a lot more getting out there and networking and having dinners and breakfasts and coffees and all that kind of thing. So currently at the moment, it's really just trying to manage the day-to-day stuff that we've got on the table. So for me, to bring it back to the question, I start most of my days off by taking my eldest son, Theo, to preschool. And that's been a really special time, actually, probably throughout all of this hectic space that we've been in, is that I ground myself in 8 o'clock, he goes to preschool. We have that moment of 15, 20 minutes in the car, dropping him off, making sure he's settled, and then I go and start my day. So I haven't got this, I guess, constant alarm clock of as soon as I wake up, I have to go to work. It's more of I can ease into it and then I can let the mayhem of my day continue on from there.
Yeah.
Gym's always been a real important part to me as well. So just being able to clear my head by doing that workout exercise, whatever that may be. At the moment, it's not so much necessarily gym. It may be just getting out and going for a walk, trying to clear my head from just being under fluoro lights all day. And time management.
We're all working on it.
We're all working on it, man.
I know.
I don't think there's necessarily one silver bullet to it. I think, I think it's important to know that there are times where you just have to sort of hunker down and do it.
Yeah.
And then there are times that you can really have 2 hours of emails a day and half an hour of reading and whatever it may be. Like having that really staunch schedule, I think, is for those, I want to call it free times, when things are just moving smoothly and you're able to do that. I think when you're in the storm, you just kind of react to things a wee bit. Maybe that's not the right way to go about it, but that's where we are.
Yeah, I guess if you transpose that to the seasons of weather, right? Like you've got the 4 different seasons, and I guess businesses may be similar in a way that you've got different modes that you sometimes get into, right? Like as you say, there's sometimes more of a maintenance phase, no pun intended. There's sometimes more of a growth phase. There's sometimes more of a survival phase, and I guess you just got to adjust accordingly, right? Yeah. Adjust your schedule, adjust your energy output, adjust your mechanisms for resetting. Mm-hmm. So whether that's through the gym or just outdoor walking or whatever. Yeah. I suppose we're all just trying to figure it out.
I think we're just trying to figure it out. And I don't think there's any necessarily right or wrong way to do it. It's just, I think as long as you're digging in and you're trying hard. Yeah. You're being honest with yourself. I think that's a big one. That's the most that you can do at the moment.
Have you got any specific content or books or podcasts or anything that sticks out as like a really impactful bit of content that you've consumed?
I really enjoyed, is it They Ask You Answer?
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that one and probably comes back to the reason why we made an effort to bring this handyman service out, because the whole They Ask You Answer model is what are the customers saying, what are they asking for, and are you giving that to them? Are you giving that information to them? Are you giving that product to them? Whatever question it is that they have, and how are you doing that as well? So I think predominantly in that book it's kind of more talking about, like, he's got a pool company and he's just talking about how he's got like 50 million blogs on his website, which is awesome. I think it's so cool what he's managed to do with that. So much effort, but it just in the book seemed to make it seem really easy. And for us, I think it was, how can we educate our customers on where they should be focusing their maintenance on, whether they do it themselves or get us in, but then also, once again, providing a service which is affordable and tangible to be able to tick a few of those things off. And I think that's a really important part of it, is that there's like 15 things on that list, 15 to 20 things. I don't think we or anyone expects us to tick all of those things off that list in the hour. But if we can tick 4 or 5 of them off, then that's still going to be a huge achievement. And probably comes back to your last question as well in terms of the structure of your day and everything. Like if you've actually got a list of things that you can do and you're ticking off a good portion of them, then that's going to be way more, I guess, easier to swallow than just doing nothing at all.
Yeah, and that was one of the recent episodes we did. It was just talking about progress and about doing those things and acting versus thinking or talking, and how even if you're just making a little bit of progress, I think it's better than spinning your wheels, obviously. But yet sometimes it is a season that you find yourself in, right? So one of my fascinations just around this, right? Around this topic of energy management and progress and how we can all be doing more, working our time schedules better. But the book that you referred to, I think that just speaks to the issue that a lot of businesses don't actually answer what their customers want to know. So a lot of the times it comes down to price, but a lot of times it comes down to process or just those really fundamental questions that everyone's wanting to know, right? Why not just answer them? And I don't think you need to give specifics. Like you can use ranges, you can use examples, you can use a number of different ways to give context. But I really like that book as well.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand what they're getting into and why they're getting into it as well. So it's like something that's quite cool about what we do is we've got Lawrence in the office. He's full-time just doing quoting and managing the jobs as well. But part of that quoting process is we don't charge for any of our quotes. But quite often, as I said before, we're solving people's problems. So we're figuring out what is the problem that they've got and then using the building code to say, well, this is what it needs to be in order for it to be safe or structurally sound or not leaking or whatever that you've got. And we've had some cool scenarios where we've been able to go, this makes no sense, but we're going to explain it to you in a really simple way so that you can understand that, yes, this thing is broken, this is why it's broken, and this is how we're going to fix it. You've got a couple of options here as to what we can do to fix it, and it just depends on what your budget is to be able to make sure it's right. And we always give a couple of options because we don't expect everyone to have $1 million to put into their maintenance. But we'll never shy away from saying this is the absolute best outcome we can have, and this is maybe a medium outcome, and this is the bare minimum outcome. because it's the world we're in at the moment, is that sometimes you do have to count your dollars and sometimes it does matter. And maybe that means that we have to do it again in a couple of years' time, but at least we know what our options are. I never want to pull any wool over anyone's eyes, I guess, is my big thing.
Yeah, I guess giving those 3 different tiers, that's such a good compromise, right? It's like, look, if you've got the budget, here's the best solution, or here's another couple as well.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
What's your current geographic service range?
So we're Canterbury, so Canterbury's not quite right though, because that does like Ashburn and Timaru, right? So we do Selwyn, Waimakariri and Christchurch as well. And is it Banks Peninsula? It's like Diamond Harbour area.
Oh, good question. I don't know what district that's in.
Yeah, it's like proper geography right there. But yeah, sort of heading out behind the hills and into that like Diamond Harbour, even like Governor's Bay and all that kind of thing. So we try to keep it like most things are within about 30 k's, 40 k's. I think Diamond Harbour's a wee bit further out than that, but
yeah, gotcha. And did you say you've been in business about 5 years?
Yeah, 4.5 years. So we'll be 5 on the financial year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Any predictions for the future 5 years?
Yeah, just growth, huge growth. I think for me, I have some really big dreams for our company and where we're wanting to head. So it's not necessarily just about upping the amount of staff that we have or upping the amount of revenue, but we want to be able to innovate in the way that we do our things as well. So we've got some cool stuff in the background going on with apps and websites and CRMs that we're able to be providing our customers with, which sounds ridiculous for a maintenance company, but I just think it'll make sense when it happens. And I think it'll make sense for the industry when it happens as well. So, yeah, we've got some cool things going on.
I like that as a methodology for goal setting, not necessarily focusing on revenue or profit or financial metrics, but focusing on like customer serving metrics, like the experience and just working on being the best or working on developing XYZ. Like, that's a really good way to reframe it.
I think I think if you're doing those things of wanting to provide a better service and wanting to refine it and have better quality, all of those things will naturally make you grow anyway.
I agree.
And you can have times of excessive growth and aggressive growth, but I think if you just grow into a 100-man operation and have no infrastructure or no innovation to be able to sustain that, then that will always die back down. And for me, it's all about how can I make a sustainable company rather than a quick buck for the next 10 years. And then I'm 70 and I've got nothing left because it died or whatever, you know.
For sure.
Didn't die. Closed. It's aggressive.
Yeah. Do you use AI at all?
Yeah, a wee bit.
Yeah.
I'm probably not using it as much as I should be, but possibly just haven't really been bought into that space enough. I use it a lot for just like ChatGPT it's good for just understanding, like summaries are a really good one for me. I put out a post today where I actually just wrote exactly what I wanted to say on the post. I then put that into ChatGPT before I even wrote a prompt. It was actually quite cool. It prompted itself. I didn't know it could do that. But yeah, it was just like, hey, this is the summary of what you've said. I think we should put this twist on it. Would you like me to create a social media and an email marketing strategy and template for you? I was like, hell yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And so that kind of thing for me is I think, man, you can't step past that stuff because I couldn't write what they wrote.
It's something that has come up a lot lately and it's topical, and so I'm naturally curious about it, especially with different industries and different businesses, how you're utilizing it.
Yeah. I mean, I've put, I just test it out quite a bit. I think for me, I just don't trust necessarily anything. I don't trust much. Oh, that's dark. I don't trust a whole lot that I don't understand how they got there. So it's kind of like, I guess, the teacher in the classroom is they want to see your working out of how did you get to 365 million. Well, these are the steps that I took to get there. And so I think like when you put a whole bunch of documents or a whole bunch of Excel spreadsheets into ChatGPT and it pumps you out this magical number there, I want to know how they got to that point so that I can believe that what they've given me is right. But as long as you test it once, then you probably know that forever it's going to be right for that thing.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next, 6, 9, 12 months in terms of different use cases and different iterations on it. I don't know. I think in more industries it'll get a bit more narrow. I think there'll be like industry-specific apps that come about.
Yeah.
I guess from a quoting standpoint, bank costing, that'd be quite handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think... I mean, once again, I just don't know enough about it to be able to go, yes, this can do that. I mean, spreadsheets in general to me, I feel like are as much automation as... The things that my spreadsheets do are amazing because I don't even understand how it does it itself, and I programmed it to do that, or formatted it rather. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. What I do enjoy is just like with the whole, like when I went into ChatGPT for that post, I was actually meant to go, hey, make me a social media post for LinkedIn, and then put in my thing. But instead, I accidentally just put the blurb in, and then it asked me if they want me to do that anyway. So I think those kinds of things are what really excite me because it's giving me the prompt before I even need to ask for it, which I think is what you want from everyone.
Exactly. Otherwise, it's just a tool to, it's just a fancy version of a search engine, right? Yeah. Interesting. I was just thinking the last time we were podcasting, we were in the sauna.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's a little bit cooler in here.
Yeah.
Just right, though.
A lot cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's been the biggest thing that's happened in that last 9-month period for you?
Yeah, man, heaps. It's been such a huge year for a year that you probably almost wish to just be quite a mellow year. We have ended up restructuring a lot of stuff, and not necessarily in terms of our staff, but more so in terms of the way that we do things. The way that we're communicating with our customers, the way that we're documenting things, the way that we're communicating with our staff, how they communicate with us. Personally, we're living out in Pegasus. We moved into South New Brighton and have that beach life going on. And the boys are growing up like wildfire. I've got another one on the way as well, a wee girl, due in January. So this year's actually been pretty huge for us on a number of levels, which is, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's good. Like, I don't know, it keeps things interesting, right?
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept though, isn't it? Time, you look back over that last 9-month period, because I think it was earlier in the year. I think it was February-ish, perhaps.
That we did the sauna?
Yeah. So you look at like that as a reference point, and then you look to 9 months going forward. So it'll be like June-ish next year, 2025, and you just like try to get your head around what can happen in that same duration. And so much can happen, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my expectation for the company, we're at nine staff at the moment. I was expecting us to be at 15 at this point, and then just like cruising on through Christmas, and we made it to 9. So that's 9 months of, I guess, planning that didn't necessarily go ahead. So what's going to happen in the next 9 months? And I think from that, it's kind of, what should we be doing in these moments? When things didn't go to plan for 9 months, do we still have those big dreams? Should we still have those big dreams, or should we bring them back because we need to be realistic? Or should we just continue being aggressive? I like being aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think
for 20.
I think you've kind of got to be though. Like,
Yeah.
I think if you're in business and you don't have a certain level of aggression, then you'll just get wiped out by someone that is aggressive. I don't know. I just don't get the feeling that, just the status quo. It's just not enough. I don't think, especially with such rapidly advancing technology and higher competition, all these things. I think it just removes that ability to stay small and be conservative. I think. I'm just trying to figure it out like we all are, but I think through having done this weekly review process for the last couple of months, that's been really interesting.
Yeah.
Just observing and reflecting on the week that's been in quite a structured way.
Yeah.
Rather than just having them bleed into another.
Yeah.
Because you know what that's like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a blink of an eye, we've had 9 months go by. So by trying to pay attention to each specific week, that's what I'm trying to unravel.
Yeah.
Is doing a real post-mortem on the week that was and what went right, what went wrong, what the learnings were, and then matching some metrics with it as well.
Yeah.
Just so that I guess less obvious trends may emerge. Don't know. We'll find out.
Well, it's really, I think it's great. I loved it when you told me about that the other week. And like the rating system as well, like actually giving it a something tangible to go off. Because we do it with business every single day. Well, maybe not every day. Some people do it monthly, whatever it may be. But we do it all the time where we're going on a scale of green, yellow, and red. How good was last month? And you do that line item by line item for every single thing. So why wouldn't we do it for our own self as well?
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree, we do it with our staff as well, because you have your quarterly reviews or monthly reviews, whatever you have with your staff, and there is some sort of a rating that goes on there so that you can help them to enjoy their work life more, or enjoy their personal life more, or however you structure those meetings. And we tend to miss ourselves out in those. We shouldn't, though.
No, and I think you're right. It's pretty clear that most businesses measure like a monthly profit and loss or sales, or at minimum, right? But how does that interact with your own personal mood and confidence and health? I think it's all integrated, and I think there's some really clear correlations. Like the link between, say, sleep and energy and confidence, and how that all interacts. But I guess I'm more interested in the more subtle differences. So like, is it revenue that leads to confidence? So is it just a case of, if you get your business health in place, does that make you self-confident? And does that give you the ability to network and sell more? And is it like a positive flywheel? Probably. But maybe there's some other things that might tie into that. So like maybe it's the gym sessions. So like if you're not getting into the gym, maybe that messes with the confidence. So it's just this like switchboard of like dialing that up, moving that across. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that when it's possible to measure it a little bit easier, like using that, I think that's when it'll come into play.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a next iteration.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're tied into the analogy of driving a car, like you constantly look in the dashboard, right? You're making sure that the speed's okay, that you've got gas or charge if you're like me. Or you've got like whatever other things that you need, right? Navigation might be on.
Yep.
So I think using those analogies sort of helps bring it into reality.
I have, I don't know if this is a sidebar or not, but I always have my Google Maps on.
Always.
Doesn't matter where I'm going.
Is it for time reasons?
I think I don't want to miss a faster route somewhere, I reckon. And so depending on where I am, I may know Like if I'm at Shirley Bunnings, but I usually come from my work, which is in Woolston, I know how to get home, but there might be a faster way that I could get home. I don't know if that's even it. I think I just really like to go on autopilot mode.
Don't have to think.
Don't have to think at all. I mean, you do. We should.
I wonder how accurate.
Drive safely, everybody.
I wonder how accurate it is, though, those routes.
I don't think it matters, because mentally I'm like, I'm Lewis Hamilton at that point.
You're just dialed in.
Yeah, I'm dialed in. I'm going exactly to where I need to go. I think I've also had scenarios where I've chucked the phone call on hands-free, jump in the car, boosting it to wherever I'm going next, and then I'll spend the next 40 minutes. It's not a lie, it was 40 minutes one day, where I just drove around pretty much in circles because I didn't actually know where I was going. And I was so engulfed in this conversation that I had no idea where I should go.
Yeah.
And you end up in Hornby, you're meant to be in like Mount Pleasant. It's like, we've got a journey to go to.
We've got
this
a problem
point.
here.
Yeah. So I think now I'm like, I have to put a map on, otherwise who knows where I'll be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you on that one. I quite like it too. Like, it's really easy in my car just to hit navigation and then like also add in different waypoints. Like if you're going somewhere but you've got a few stops.
Yeah.
Or
Nice.
if you're trying to figure out how much time you've got to get to the third destination. It's wicked.
I love telling people minutes as well.
Oh yeah.
Like people used to always laugh at me about it, but I'd be like, I'm 3 minutes away.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
good.
You could have said 5 and I would have been happy with that.
No,
So, well, I want you to know.
Let's be accurate here.
Yeah, there's 3 minutes until my park break goes on. I want to know that as well.
I'm impressed. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you believe in serendipity?
Who knows?
Or do you think it means anything?
I don't actually know what that is.
Well, you know, like when something random happens, like we're just talking about X, Y, Z, and then X, Y, Z shows up.
Right. No, I'm not with you.
Or if you're walking down the street, and you know we're having a conversation.
Oh, like a coinky dink.
Yeah, exactly. Coinky dink. Is that a Newfoundlanderism?
I think it's just, is that the same thing?
I don't know.
A coincidence.
Coincidence,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they happen.
I just get curious about what they mean.
Right. I mean, I think that there's generally a reason behind most of them. There's got to be.
There's got to be, right?
I think generally front of mind. What was I watching the other day? It was a Will Smith movie, and he was on Focus.
Ah, yeah.
And it was betting all this money with this guy the whole time. Can we talk about this?
We can do anything.
He was betting all this money with this guy, and it's just like $10 here, and then it went to $1,000, and then $10,000, and all of a sudden they're betting $1 million on who's got the highest card on this deck, and he loses. So now this guy's up $1 million, feeling real good, and then Will's just like, I want to do one more bet. Let's double or nothing. And he goes, you can pick any football player's number on the field, and I'll guess it. So it's like, you know, American football, there's like 1,000 players on those fields because there's just way too many on the payroll. And the guy just goes, sweet. Oh, yeah, sweet. Pick us a number. He doesn't pick it himself. He gets his partner to pick it. She's got no clue about any of this. And she goes out and she's freaking out. And then she picks the number. Turns out to be right. She's picked the exact same number. Coincidence. Luck. Whatever it may be. It was completely engineered. He just had the number 55 printed everywhere.
Right.
And people saying 55. And the lampshades had 55 on them, and it was everywhere that he saw it for a week or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was just a sham.
Interesting.
No, I don't think everyone's out to get us like that. but I think that like a lot of those things are in the subconscious, and so if you think about it enough, it'll probably end up happening.
That is a good, powerful example there. I like that a lot. Yeah, and I mean it's a bit like goal setting.
Yep.
If you spend enough time on it and you get clear enough on it, it seems to be, in my experience, that you've got a much higher probability of making it happen if you're focusing on it.
Yeah.
And whether it's like weekly or fortnightly or whatever that cadence is, I don't think it really matters. But as long as it's top of mind,
Yeah.
it seems to have a way higher chance of happening.
Yeah.
But for some reason, a lot of people are apprehensive about setting goals, and whether it's through fear of not hitting them or just fear of, or uncertainty,
Yeah. It's really interesting. So I had the first 2 and a little bit years of business, every single day I would wake up and go, if this doesn't work, I'll close the business down and I'll do something else. That was always my mindset. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work, I can do something else. As soon as I hired my first staff member, I went, I can't do anything else because he's now relying on me. My wife and children rely on me, and I could support them with another wage. But now I've got somebody else's wife and kids and mortgage that I'm looking after. They're relying on me, and that is it. So now my mindset has gone from, and the reason why this matters is because our revenue that we had over those 2 months was very marginal. We were just getting by. And then as we started hiring staff, as generally it happens, we 10x'd this whole thing. And that was a complete mindset change of, I can't close this company down, so what do I want it to be? Well, I want to create a legacy now. I want to create a change in the industry. I want to have a good life for my children. I want them to be able to, have what they need and live healthily and eat well and all those kinds of things. And that was the complete mindset change that I ended up having, which ended up putting us in the position where we are today. Mindset change.
So it took leaning in even further.
Yeah.
And making it about more people and a bigger meaning than just you.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the fact of, I knew that I could keep myself and my family safe no matter what. And then as soon as I bring someone else in, I now can't keep that person safe if I don't keep the boat floating. Because I'll never probably see them again. Tends to happen.
Yeah.
And so either that happens naturally and they want to, which more power to them, or I've let them down. And letting them down isn't an option.
Yeah, it's a massive form of accountability and self-imposed pressure, right? I mean, I love it.
I love it too. I think it's like it's not about it being like an upsetting thing or a negative thing. It's just that was what I needed to go, sweet, this is a non-negotiable, let's go for it. And now we're going to set really big goals. Now we're going to set really great dreams to be able to make something that is worth doing, make a work environment worth working in, and actually enjoy what we're doing as well.
Yeah, it makes me think what's possible if you were to go to the upper limits of that, right? What else could you be doing?
Yeah.
How else could you be extending? And how far is too far?
Yeah.
One of the fascinations I've got is around this high performance thing, right? What do high performers and fast growing business owners do differently? Is it the tolerance and acceptance of risk? Is it the daily habits? Is it the management of time? Is it a combination of everything? Probably. But however, I think you need to get it figured out in your own head, and whatever tool you need to use, that's the thing that's probably most relevant, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think I think you do have to have some pretty crazy goals to achieve crazy things too. Like I've always, not always, since I started hiring staff, as we now know, had this dream of, I would love for us to go international. And originally it was just a dream, and now I'm determined. And I get a lot of side eyes on that, going, first of all, why would you do that? That's crazy, and it's almost business suicide because it's hard to manage. but also there's enough market here to be able to do it. So, well, actually, I want this market, and then I want another market. Can I have two markets? Why can't I have two markets?
That's a great question. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I really enjoy. It's so funny. I don't know how to say his last name. Alex Hormozy?
Yeah.
He put up this thing. It was just like, if you celebrate your birthday, then
You're a pussy.
you're a pussy or whatever. And it's just like, it's so hilarious because it's just like yes and no. And this guy commented on it. It's just like, I celebrate my birthday and I'm still successful, but I'm not looking to acquire the GDP of a small continent or something.
I saw that.
Small country. And I'm like, that is so good. Because that is exactly what he's doing. Like, Alex is just making so much money. And whatever he's doing, all of his little avenues that he's got in. And that's his thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you don't want that, there's nothing wrong with that either. But I think, particularly maybe in New Zealand, we've got like a problem with it. Is like, why would you want more than you need?
Got it.
Why would you want more than the batch in the boat? I think for me, it's because I don't necessarily see the batch in the boat being generational. The boat's only going to last so long before it's old and costs more to maintain than anything. And the house only lasts 100 years, or whatever it is that houses are meant to last for now.
Unless you maintain it really well.
Maintain it really well. But is that getting my kids comfortable for their life? And maybe that's not an achievable goal, and maybe it's too much. But I would rather try and get to my kids than not try and give my son a boat. Once again, there's nothing wrong with that goal. It's just what I want.
Do you reckon that, like, I mean, I fully understand this whole stigma around tall poppy, and I get it. Like, I think it is a fact. I think you'd be naive to think that it's not. But on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, are you generally encountering people that are limiting in their beliefs? Like, are you coming across people?
I think it's also in the subconscious. I don't have people saying no, but I have people either avoiding the conversation or giving looks or smirks or little telltales to say, good luck.
Yes.
And it's, I mean, I tend to not necessarily stay in too much contact with those people. Just because I don't necessarily see them as us growing together. I really like to grow with people and bring them to where I'm going. And if we're not completely aligned, it doesn't mean that I don't want to be in contact with you or friends with you or be in the network. But I want to be a cheerleader for your goals, and I want you to be a cheerleader for my goals. I was walking through the home show on the last day, and I just took we got a whole bunch of builder's pencils made up, and everyone loves the builder's pencils because it's just like this gimmicky thing, but it's not really because it's very practical at the same time. Yeah, they are.
Because of the sharpening, you mean?
Unpractical because of the sharpening? Yeah, well, I mean, like, nobody knows how to sharpen them. And most people won't necessarily have a knife that can sharpen them as well. So that's why it's not necessarily that valuable to many people. But because it's a builder's pencil, there's so many memories that are tied in with it. Because most people that are kind of in their like 40s upwards, all of their dads and all of their granddads had builder's pencils. And they would have had them around. And so I loved it, like, especially like our older demographic that would come in, you'd ask them, you know, a 70, 80-year-old, hey, would you like a builder's pencil? And they laugh at you and they go, this is so funny. My granddad used to have one of these. That's really nice. And then they'll just walk away. And it's like, oh, well, you've actually unlocked some sort of memory in their mind of this builder's pencil, and maybe they'll never use you, it doesn't really matter, but now you've coincided your brand with a good memory, so that's probably invaluable in itself.
Very cool.
I have no idea where I was going with this.
Was that the intent when you got them made?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
They were just practical.
That was accidental.
Yeah, I got them made because I was buying them at like $3 a pop, and I could get them made at 36 cents a pop. So it was a little bit of investment for something that I was going to use anyway, and then I could give them out to people if they wanted them or whatever. But the first show that we did, the Home and Leisure show, that was a real learning curve. It was 3 days. So the first day we just stood there like teenagers at a dance, just like waiting for someone, because there's the girls on the side and the boys on the side, just like waiting for someone to make a move.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I was homeschooled, so it's just like me and myself.
Great dance.
So that was the first day, and then the second day I was like, nah, let's get aggressive, boys. And so like maybe we'll say like hello as people walk past. And so like half the people you're now saying hello to, because you're like a little bit shy. If someone looks a bit grumpy, you don't want to say hello to them. And I was like, nah, we got to get something in people's hands. What is it? And we tried the jelly beans. On the last day, we tried the jelly, because we had jelly beans. We tried to give jelly beans to people, and nobody wanted jelly beans. Probably like 10% of people wanted jelly beans. And I had a buttload of jelly beans there. And so I was like, screw it, I've got pencils here, I'll try it. And people just like, it was like 30% of people are now taking pencils. Oh, well, that's more than the jelly beans. Okay, boys, let's all do pencils. And now we're getting a majority of people. And the thing that was really cool about it is that we obviously we only got to encapsulate that on the last day. So we were like, boys, we're doing this. And I ordered 5,000 builder's pencils from Alibaba, which is where I got them originally. And it's the same manufacturer as a really well-known pencil brand in New Zealand as well. Really great pencils. We love them. Big fan. Big advocate. And we handed them out straight from the get-go. And the cool thing about it is that we had the pencil and we had a pamphlet, and the pencil would go on top of the pamphlet, and you would say to them, hey, would you like a pencil? Just as they're going past. Didn't matter if they were 5 years old or 99 years old, you get a pencil regardless. I don't care. It's going in your hand. And this is where I was like, we're actually doing kind of aggressive sales at this point, but we're doing it in a way that's very, I guess, nice, or it's got something practical with it, so it's not necessarily like a annoying aggressive sales, whatever. People's like exact instinct at the beginning of it is no. They'll always say no. It doesn't matter what you're giving them, they'll just say no, because they're walking past and they may have just gone like 15 minutes of just people like trying to hound them on things. And you go, hey, would you like a builder's pencil? And they go, no thanks. And then they turn back. They go, did you say builder's pencil?
What did you say?
Yeah, builder's pencil, would you like one? And they go, I could really use one. So you never know when it's going to come in handy. And I probably said that exact line 1,000 times over this weekend.
Wow.
I think we gave away about 1,300 pencils, I believe, which is a lot of pencils just to be out in the world right now.
That's great.
And the cool thing about it is that the pencil doesn't necessarily do anything, but it's a pamphlet underneath. But it's very hard to get people to read pamphlets and actually care. And so they've got this pencil, they look at it, they see that there's a logo on it, they then see that they've got a pamphlet in their hand because it comes with a pamphlet, non-negotiable. And they go, it's got in bold letters, making maintenance easy. That's all it says on the very front, a couple of little contact details. And they go, once again, turn back. What do you guys do? Oh, we do maintenance, building, painting, plastering for any of your property maintenance needs. Once again, I said that about 1,300 times because that's how many people took our pencils. And it was a really cool, organic way for people to go, I don't want to talk to anyone, to I've now got this cool pencil in my hand, to now I'm reading about maintenance and then realising that I need maintenance done on my property. And the amount of husbands that walked past and went, I don't need maintenance because I do it myself, and then the wives take the pencil and go, but he never does his list anyway. We can come in handy in that. Or maybe it's just now a prompt that the husband will go and do it. Either way, I don't really care. It's about just that interaction.
100%. Yeah, that's such an interesting thing, isn't it? Just bridging that gap between two strangers that don't know each other. And I guess, I don't know if you're at that mastermind where James was talking about omnipresence, and unless you are Google or Airbnb or whatever market leader, as business owners, we've got to get out there, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got to make a presence, make the brand known.
Yeah.
And so I guess just bridging that gap with the merchandise, with the pamphlet, like it all just helps build those layers of trust and connection. And so fascinating.
Yeah.
I guess we're naturally fearful, right? Like we don't want to be sold, we don't want to be annoyed, we don't want our time wasted. And so you've got to break down those barriers.
Yep.
And I guess in a trade show dynamic, you're right, they've been absolutely harassed by the however many previous vendors trying to flog them something.
Yeah. Well, and because it's generally, like a lot of them will have like put down the deposit today and you get free install, or you get a freaking 24 box of Coca-Colas or something. All right, Chef Waters, whichever one you want. They don't want to necessarily spend money right up there on the day, but they do want a solution. They'd love a solution.
They're curious, aren't they? They're there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they may want some advice from someone who is actually happy to give them advice. Like there are probably, 4 building companies that were at this show, but they're all new housing. And so they're a completely different ballgame. They're not coming out to fix a leak in your roof because it's just not what they do. And there's nothing wrong with it, it's just not what they do. There were a couple of like smaller building companies, but they would be very specific, like just bathrooms or just kitchens. And so now, once again, they're not coming out for your spouting that's dripping because they're just doing their specific thing. Whereas we were able to provide, and we were the only company there that was doing it, which is really cool. We were able to provide anything within the not even necessarily maintenance, but in the construction space. And because the guys are qualified, they can do a full house renovation, bathroom, kitchen, add an addition, whatever you want to do. Or we can come and put a doorstop on. It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, when I saw that email that you sent out about the new handyman offering, instantly, because of the price point and because of the fact that it was compartmentalized to 69, right? It was like, well, that's not much. Like that's easy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that? So price was like acceptable. It's like, no, that's nothing.
Yeah.
What's on this list? And then I think there was something on that list that stood out to me, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
good to know.
And the way that because like I always think about it obviously as a business approach. We can talk about this, and I want people to know that in order for me to be able to provide you a service, we have to make money. And $69 does not necessarily make money.
No, it's an entry point though, isn't it?
It's an entry point. And the way that I look at it is that either, one, we're going to hopefully get more work from you in the future, or two, while we're there, you ask us to measure up for some stuff to do a quote for you. Now, in my mind, you've essentially paid us to do a quote, which is perfect because we don't charge for quotes. Or we've got some repetitive customers that are coming back, once a month or every couple of months, which is perfect once again. So to me, it's all about how can we provide a service that is obviously going to create heaps of value for you, but is actually also going to mean that we can just open up our floodgates to go and be able to provide that service to even more people. And it was really cool at the show because we just released it on Thursday. We went to the show Friday. So this is like brand spanking new for everyone. People walking past and seeing the handyman sign, new introducing kind of thing. And the thing that people loved about it is they go, that is such a good idea. That is so important for the community, especially our older community that can't do it. I've actually got some bigger jobs around the house that I'd love to use you for.
Amazing.
Perfect.
Let's open up the conversation.
It's opened up the conversation, and it's given them the ability to trust someone to do those 3 to 4 to 9 hour long jobs, which is really good for us, but also gives them, I guess, the trust factor to be able to go, but if we just want something small, we're not going to be charged out the wazoo for it.
Yeah, a book I really enjoy and advocate for is called 24 Assets by Daniel Priestley.
Yeah.
And so I can't claim this as one of my own my own techniques, but he's got this thing, product for prospect, which is essentially the same thing, a lower priced item or service or just entry point to get someone they're a little bit closer to spending money than not, but they're also not potentially ready for your full offer.
Yeah.
And so if you can price something at that, 50 to maybe up to say 150, 200 bucks, something like that, it's a great way to get them transacting to start with.
Yeah.
Just like how I've done with the events. It's it's great for people that maybe they've listened to the podcast, maybe they've looked at coaching, but they're not perhaps quite ready, but they pay for a lunch, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just trying to break down those barriers, right?
Yeah, break down the barriers and allow people to see the value of it before they commit, I guess, too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think potentially, and this is maybe tying back into that they ask you answer book. When it comes to content marketing and awareness and branding, you can do all of that, but if you don't have an entry point that's comfortable, then I think it's just a form of a barrier.
Yeah.
So you can do all this awesome marketing, content, but then if people can't transact in a way that's like sort of half, it's just like a little bit, it's a taster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you've got to make it easy for people to...
Just make it super easy. Yeah.
Real easy. I've actually got this piece of paper. I really need to start doing things less Bundy, because I do a lot of Bundy stuff.
Bundy's a good word. I haven't heard that in a while.
It's a great word. I don't do anything Bundy when it comes to our maintenance.
Just so
do you like that I'm looking at the camera for that?
That was intentional.
No, I'll create these like quotes, and sometimes if I think it's like real on, then I'll laminate it.
Ooh.
But it's still just like printed paper with like lamination and then blue text to my wall. Or this one that I've decided that is going to stick with me is called Make It Easy.
Make it easy.
And this is all it is. I feel like we talked about this not long ago. Make it easy. Whatever it may be that you're trying to figure out, how do you make that easy? And it's not about it's going to be easy right now. It's about how do you make that easy for the future. So I shared an example of, if you're trying to bench 100 kg on the bench, I can't do that right now. How do I make that easy? Well, it's going to take repetitions, it's going to take a lower amount of weight, it's going to take time, and then eventually it'll get to a point where I will build myself up to be able to bench 100 kg, and eventually that will become easy. Well, that's the process now. I've now got the A to B process of how can I get to that point and for it to be easy. Because you don't want to get to that point and it be hard. How do I live a financially free life? Well, these are the steps that I need to take, and this is the time frame that it's going to take. And when I get there, I want to make sure that it's sustainable so that I don't have to just freak out every year that I'm not making enough salary or whatever it is. But it's I've created this structure now that I'm making the right amount that I want to, and if I want to make more, once again, how do I make it easy to get to that point?
You speak my language, Matt. This is good. So, like, say you wanted to get to $1 billion in revenue, right? Or $1 billion in lifetime sales.
Yeah. In 10 years, maybe.
That's a crazy number, but say you wanted to get there, and I think this was actually done at a recent growth lunch. Actually, the speaker. I'm not sure if you're at that one with Ethan Gerrard.
Yep.
Yeah, and so he asked who wants to be a billionaire. And essentially just breaking that down into more manageable chunks. And so absolutely possible. It's just getting clear and making it acceptable.
Is it 100 or 1,000 millions?
I think it is 1,000.
We need to fact check this. Is it 1,000? Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot more than 100.
Have you seen those visuals?
I had 100 in my mind for the last Probably
100
40
million?
months.
No, it's 1,000. Have you seen those like visual representations of how significant a number it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I don't know though.
I don't know.
I think it's achievable.
I think it would have a lot of costs associated with it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if anyone would be willing to pay that price.
You know, and what percentage of that B are you taking as well?
That's true. I think just going back to making it easy though, like this is a great example, and shout out to Be Creative for making this podcast production easy. Ben just led with, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a super complicated sales process. It was just like, look, I'm pumped. Like, let's just make it happen. Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
And so like a bit of energy sometimes goes a long way, and absolutely making it easy. People have got enough complications in their life.
Yeah.
They don't need any more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've got to go through like onboarding forms and processes and scheduling and niggles, I think that stuff's becoming less and less tolerated now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I had a scenario recently where someone had just had a really horrific situation happen with their property, and they just needed it to be fixed. And there was a little bit of trust factor needed in it. There was a lot of experience that was needed in it, and there was a lot of reassurance that was needed there as well. And we were able to just guide her through that process, giving her just enough information so that she absolutely knew what was going on, but she wasn't getting overwhelmed with the finer details. She needs to know that it's going to be fixed, like we said before, that it's going to be fixed and it's going to be fixed correctly, but she doesn't need to know how many nails we're going to put into it. We can figure that out for her as long as we're still communicating and keeping that trust up. And I think that is something that we really tried to focus on in our business, is creating that trust factor so that we can go and do what we do really well. We're never going to pull wool over people's eyes. It's just not what we do.
yeah,
And be able to create a really good result for them every time.
love that. Yeah, and it just gets that flywheel moving faster and faster out. When you do that time and time again, referrals start flowing out, repeat business starts flowing out, positive word of mouth, and it just keeps on going. Love it, Matt. Well, just to end here, what would be your prediction for the next 12 months in terms of maybe not staffing, but just where you're going to be at? You're going to be sitting here in 12 months' time, October 2025.
Yeah, I see some really, I think industry-wise, we're going to see some really good things happen. I think there's going to be a lot of, I think we've gotten through the darkness. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to be out in Littleton shortly. It was a reference because there's a tunnel to Littleton.
Oh, that's clever.
Thanks. We do maintenance there too. And so I think we're going to be in a really nice light place. I sort of see the beginning of next year sort of being the probably the shifting point, the first couple of months, and then by the time October's around, we're going to be feeling real good.
Real good.
I think everyone will be feeling a lot better. I think there's going to be a little bit more money flowing around. People are going to be able to get stuff done. They're going to be feeling better about going away on their summer holiday. Yeah, so that's my predictions. I'm just hoping that we can sort of just be a little bit more secure in business.
Cool. I love it. Yeah, I like having these episodes as a reference point to look back on and reminisce, look back at this moment. Because the year will fly by, right?
Yeah.
A lot of good will happen. There might be some challenges, but we'll be able to look back on this and remember this moment. And I think that's kind of cool as future series or seasons of the podcast keep on going. I really want it to be a way that I can invite people that I like spending time with back and to like look back on that last 12 months and also make some predictions on the future 12 months. So appreciate your time. It's been awesome.
It's been great. See you in 12 months.
See you in 12 months, if not sooner. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.